Good evening, everybody. A little late here, but better late than never, I guess. We're going to, we've got a 1466. Surprise, surprise. If it's going to be a late night repair, it's usually going to be something that I have a reasonable chance of repairing, rather than picking something that's going to require extensive brain capabilities in order to sort out. So, yeah, we've got a 1466 out of the queue. We've got a few of these. But let's get this one apart. Well, first let's see what's actually going on with it. According to the sticker, no chime, start, test another DC port, no chime will start. So we'll put a Chipmunk into it, see if the Chipmunk's going to chatter. That's really interesting. I don't know if you can actually see that, but there is a faint glow on that Chipmunk. That is very weird. This thing is like magically powered. Okay, this one's different. Well, different is fun. We'll plug it in and see what happens anyway. They're very strange. So it's like perpetually draining the battery on the 5-volt port. Turn on the power supply. 18 milliamps. The glow hasn't changed. That's peculiar. Alright, this is definitely a first. I've not had presence of 5-volt rail. That is the SO rail. 5-volt, but it's not at 5 volts. It's something very minor. But it shouldn't be on. And more interesting is the fact that it's been here for a few days, so the drain can't be too severe. Hey Jason. Jason with the silver 100,000 subscriber button coming his way. Congratulations, Jason, on having YouTube finally yield that to you. Hope you have fun with it. Andrew, Greg, Jaden. Jason, when are you going to do a CPU replacement live? Alright, okay, so we've got a 165 board here. You can tell by the compact connector here. The 3437 has a broader one. It's the easiest, quick way of telling, at least in my opinion, of which MacBook you're dealing with. Which board, rather. Since superficially they're not always quite so easy to tell. We're just going to take this straight out, because that is quite an interesting fault. Rockefeller, what do you think about using high temperature silicon as motorsill instead of what? As motorsills instead of copper wick? I'm not sure what you mean by that, to be honest. Sorry. Let's see, what's Jason want? Been through enough of them now, thought the activity, thought of that does not actually make me nervous. Oh, okay. CPUs are getting stuck to your arm. They love you, man. They want your touch. You've saved the CPUs and they're like, oh, hero, whoa, and they're going to get stuck to your arm. You're going to wake up with them all over your face, and you're going to be CPU face, man. Accuse. 10 minutes here. Alright, let's get these bits and pieces out. I'll be honest, I'm not rightly sure what I'm expecting. I suppose statistically corrosion's a good chance. Corrosion's always a good chance. Stick the sticker on the data stick. How many times can I say stick? Seen a video from an Italian engineer using motorsill. Tips and tricks. What is even motorsill? I don't even know. To me, I thought that's something like oil. Okay, that's all come out. Need to put my glasses on now so I can actually see what I'm going to screw. or unscrew rather. Does anyone want to put bets in on what we're going to be looking at when we flip this board over? Oh, Motorsil is red gummy silicon. Oh, okay. Alright. I have a vague concept of what you're talking about. Come on, need this one to go well. Daddy needs his bank balance restored. I spent quite a bit on getting cleaning equipment for the house yesterday. Bad SMC. Ooh, okay. We got corrosion, bad SMC, although that could be the same, one and the same. Macho corrosion. Yeah, that's kind of worried about that as well. Mind you, when I only see a little bit of spluttering on the vents on the back of the bottom panel. Alright, here we go. Have we got all the screws out? Yep, there we go. And well, it's definitely not macho corrosion, but I can immediately see the SMC has got corrosion around it. I'm just kind of curious as to how it's creating this bleed pattern for the 5 volts. U950. Wow, this is one of the few that actually stuck properly. Always iPhone film things stuck on my desk. Alright, let's have a look. Let's see what we do. You win recognition that you won, and it's under the SMC as well. Fire truck. This is going to be an SMC job. Damn you people. That's a very pretty Hulk green. Where's the camera? Come on. Overhead's fine. Ach, nee man. Alright, we're gonna have to do I don't want to have to do this, but I'm gonna have to do a OBS kill and restore, and hopefully it happens within a quick period of moment. So stand by. Okay, hopefully we're back. There we are. Let's see, as a matter of interest, to what percentage of broken MacBooks that you are sent do you successfully fix, I suspect? Usually around about 80%, I would say. Yeah, about 80% is typical. But it does depend on the model. Well, things like 1466s, they have a very high recovery rate, whereas something like an A1990 or the newer type units, they tend to drop off a fair bit. The backlight does have some liquid around it, but it doesn't look too bad. It's not corrosive, it's just more dusty. Yeah, that's okay, that's just dust. Yeah, we did get a bit of corrosion over here on the matched pair data line with the filter, but that might be okay. Keep an eye on that. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else before I get too excited with the SMC. I know everybody else is all eager to have that happen. Is that corrosion on the HS105? There's a little bit of corrosion on the HS105 switch, so I might have to replace that as well. But yeah, that definitely gone under the SMC there. Alright, let's get underway with it. I'll probably replace this HS105 switch first because it'll be very easy for me to forget that it needs replacing after I've done the SMC. Hey ITC. This is a surprisingly resilient part to get off the board. It does take a fair bit of a heat soak. Hey Rob Graham. Yeah, the cats are giving me the usual fun and games. I've got to finish doing the new enclosure fence this weekend, hopefully. There we go. Okay, it doesn't look like there was any corrosion on the pads, but that's okay. There was the green sort of corrosion going on the side of the chip, and that often can lead to future failures, so it's best that we just replace it anyway. Go. Let's get ourselves a spare. It's one of those chips along with the ISL that are fairly common to replace. Bug under the circuit board. Doesn't look like it anymore. It wandered off to the other side. What the... Yeah, it just looks like a bit of thread. That one's okay, we can use that one. Yeah, the likes and dislikes don't matter much anymore. Viewership more than anything else matters. YouTube clearly doesn't really want us to know too much about who does and doesn't like our videos. I can see that bug wandering around on the bench top here, but it's all cool. Hey D&W. Alright, that's good. Skills. That was a little bit excessive on the flux. Again, just replacing these parts now rather than waiting till after the SMC is done, because I know because it'll be a bit later, I know I'll be overexcited about finishing the SMC and I'll forget to appropriately replace parts that should have been replaced. Looks like that's going to need a bit of a scratch up. Hey 555, hey Greg. So Jason, if you're still out there, you're going to turn this into a full-time career now? This blade is old. You got your 100,000, now you can go around and be one of these people that randomly money bomb other loser channels. And you go, hey, I see you doing repairs and you don't have many followers, so here's $10,000 donation for you. Something like that. I mean, I think you can pretty much state your case as for it being a viable option too, given the numbers that you're pulling. I mean, I know I certainly couldn't. Not at this point. I would probably have to be earning at least 10 to 20 times more than what I am now for me to even consider taking on YouTube. But you're pretty much at those numbers, which is interesting because my actual subscriber numbers are, well, you and I have traditionally sort of followed each other within about a 1/4, or I'm always a quarter or a fifth behind you. But in terms of the actual monetary aspect, you've taken a massive leap ahead. Hey, Wayne Bonici, or Bonici, used to go by the name Marway. I'm sure Mother Can is still moderated. Well, that is quite some time ago. Mr. Arago, and Nick's here. Oh, Rilla's here too. Yeah, I should replace the blade. I'm just freaking lazy. Alright, let's get this SMC off. That's what everybody's here to see. Let's go and rate of live stream versus normal video. Realistically, live streams are actually pretty piss poor in terms of income generation. The only time a live stream is a viable income is if you're actually pretty and you're missing a shirt or something like that, and people start dropping dollars on you. And then you're probably not even on YouTube, you're probably going to be on Twitch or something like that. Ugh, man, I hate it when there's not enough mass in this board to get it to hold down while I flick off this stuff. There we go. I was watching a video tonight while having dinner, and there was this guy building a wooden hut or small sort of building out in the forest as it was approaching winter. And he put that up, I think, 2 weeks ago, and he has 8 million views on it. I mean, 8 million freaking views on that. Would have probably got him enough advertising income for him to go and build another couple of those buildings. No trouble at all. How's your job description overlay? Oh, it's not running at the moment by the looks of it. Let's see. Nah. It's alright, it's not currently available. Hey, where's... I mean, that number of views is truly insane. Network TV would love to see those kind of numbers. Why are you being difficult to come off? There we go. And that still hasn't likely probably cleared out everything, but that's we're taking it off anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright, time for the extraction. To be fair, you know, house building is pretty cool. I tend to watch them a little bit because I try to see if I can pick up hints or guides on tricks that you can use to try and simplify the process. Overall, in spite of how long we have been building buildings, the process hasn't really had any quantum leaps in making it easier. It's still pretty much the same fundamental process. Oh, that's some seriously juicy corrosion going down there. That SMC was definitely not going to last the winter. YouTube shorts for your cats. Yeah, I'm working on that. I've got to get the building finished first. That's half the other thing is I want to get this cat house, so to speak, done so that we can actually do cat videos. Give him $10 to lick it. You add a 1 and 2 zeros after that and we might have ourselves a deal. You're quite right, Rob. Quite right about that. I suppose I was sort of thinking, I find a lot of the time, the majority of the time, to be repetitive, seems to be more in the finishing process. You know, the closer you get towards the completed status, the longer it takes to get there in many ways. Like you can very quickly build up the floor and the stud walls, and then from there it just gets slower and slower and slower. Travis picked up on that one. Because they're the beaniest beans, Travis. Beaniest beans. There's that bug again. I'm not going to do that in Mexican though. Or Spanish rather. Cosmetics take longer, yes they do. But it's also frustrating because the framing and such is actually, for me at least, the fun part. The finishing just bores me to tears like nothing. There we go. And after we've done all that, we give it a nice little coating of flux so that while we're working on the SMC replacement it doesn't oxidize those pads. Hello Click Beetle, you need to get out of here. Yeah, come on, there you go. Okay, now we've got to find a 165 SMC. I'm sure I've got something, I think. Okay, no SMC, what have we got here? Nope, 3437 has an SMC. I used to keep them separate, the ones that did and did not have SMCs, but for some reason I seem not to have now. It's 3437, no SMC, no SMC, no SMC, no SMC. I'm just going to stop saying that because I'm going to wear my voice out saying the same thing. Ooh, SMC. Ah, 3437 though. Ooh, SMC. Ah, 165. There we go. Let's probably one of my last ones. I know I can, well, I know you can now reflash the SMCs to a degree, but I'm not set up for that. I know of it, I don't know how. But yeah, there's clearly an SMC shortage developing here. I do have another one as well, just in case. So it's good to know. Wait, is that my board I'm working on? No, it's not. Okay, that's it there. So SMC. That's about half the container of donors. I've still got plenty more to go. The only trouble with donors is after a while, oh dear God, no, this is not a donor, this is a piece of trash. That in no way is a donor. That is, everything has been ruined on this board. That goes in the bin actually. Just threw that straight in the bin, there's no point. Just no point. And this is also a fire sale. Oh, come on. The reason why I'm not going to bother with these is because you're pretty much, when they look that bad, they're probably dead because they are a bad SMC. Okay, SMC. I'm just going to see if I'm lucky, and I might have one. Possibly bad battery section. It's almost worth the risk. It's probably less risky to try that than it is to take one of those other ones. There's another 165. Hey, Mark Guzman. There we go. 165 SMC likely working. We'll try that one. Okay, this one here we know is trash. That goes into the bin so I don't mistake it for something else. All too easy to do around here. Now, I just need to get my reballing rig. Easier said than found. There we go. And then we need our 0.35 balls, which... oh, do not tell me I have misplaced my balls again. I put them somewhere safe. Ah, here we go. Safely found. APR. Okay. Now, the first thing we need to check on this to see if it has any surface imperfections. One thing that a lot of the SMCs suffer from is bubbling of the substrate. great, I got a dead bug in there, that's fantastic. So I'm going to have to first take all of the old solder off and then see if we have any popcorning. So it looks like popcorning, but it's not quite. But it usually appears around the edges. Sort of try our luck. We also want to try and get those flat pads hit with some solder. Okay, that's good. It's just to make sure that they actually will take solder. Often what can happen is you can get some flat pads and they look not too bad, you know, they don't have that grey corrosion overtone, but then when you do try to reball it, the ball will not stick onto it, and it's just because of a bit of a corrosion. Yeah, it's looking pretty good actually. Take that out. We'll do a bit of a wash now. I found this to be an effective way of washing them. The gloves, these ones particularly, they have a little bit of a texture on them, but it's not too rough, so it makes it easy to wash this down. Now what I'm looking for is any sort of surface bubble up, and this one's looking good. Not seeing any, so that's great. Hey Mark, good morning from Godford rather. Now we also have to clean up this area here. We don't want to have excessive flux floating around, because when we do the reflow it has a bad habit of obviously going liquid and then welling up between the stencil and the chip, which almost always results then with the reballing process getting messed up a bit. Nick Vasey went to buy a FLIR camera the other day, find out it costs what? Yeah, okay, 4,000. How do you get to that? Because they shouldn't be more than 650 or so for the normal ones we use. You obviously were going for something fancy. Gosford, right, okay, that makes more sense. I just was expecting I didn't know the place, and which wouldn't be unusual to me. Doink. So as usual, we are doing the opposing corner technique, where we just simply place down a positioning ball. We also need to change our hot air, because we don't really want to run at 460. Come on, pop on. There we go, it's one. It really doesn't matter where they get placed, as long as they're fairly opposing. Yep, that's good. Now we've got to get the stencil, which is probably buried and dried and crusty right now. Yep, so all my alcohol ran out of my stencil collection. That means they're all going to have to go into the ultrasonic cleaner soon. Oh, that's just vile and disgusting. I really need to use containers that have better retention of the alcohol. These are just consumer grade food containers, and they obviously leak. The alcohol gets out quite easy. It's the same flare that Northridge used. Really? Okay. There's a bit of an overkill, or what? Rob, weather's not too bad up here. Getting some nice rain for a change in life. Mind you, we did get some tremendously strong rain the other day, which flooded all my trenches that I was digging for the fence. But it's a small compromise to make, or small price to pay for actually getting rain. Alright, so that's on, and now we just need to add the special ingredient, pure water with a touch of leaded balls. Should do. Just going to use the tweezers to stabilize it a little bit as I go towards the edges. Alright, that's all reballed. Well, I should say the balls are in place. I might go for a little bit lower on the air. 25%. 330 and 25%. We'll see how that goes. 50% humidity can be a little crazy, yeah. Alright, for those who haven't seen this before, basically the trick is that a double one there? No. Anyway, the trick is you want to heat up the chip and everything else. Wow, that doesn't normally happen. The key point is when the balls start to lose their gloss. They'll develop this. There we go. It's actually come on about a bit too early, in my opinion, because I don't feel like the chip has really gotten up to appropriate temperature. Which means this process that I'm doing now, smearing of the flux, will actually go wrong. And yeah. Okay, fortunately we can roll those back in. I am worried we're going to have a few jump outs, but we'll see how we go. The main reason why I like to do it this way is because by making the chip and the stencil and everything else hot, it stops the flux from building up too thickly. Yeah, it keeps it thin, but you can see because it was too thick and cold, they're all jumping out. They hopefully will actually... No. Yeah, it's really weird the way this is behaving, to be honest. So I'm just going to hope that through magic they will not jump out too severely. Instead they'll just pop back down. There, they're doing that now. Okay, they're popping back down without leaping out everywhere. And we're done. They've all settled in. The little gophers have popped their heads back in. Looking good. We did get one not quite stick down. That's this one over here. The safest option for me at this point would be to take that off. Just capture that one. Put the stencil back on. Because we know everything's aligned. Put it back in the hole. And just give it a chance to try again. Yeah, I think that one went down that time. Because if you try and... if I had just simply tried to reposition it without the stencil there, statistically, most likely it would have merged with a neighbor. And then when it merges with the neighbor, it would frustrate me, and then I would try again and it would merge with another neighbor. Yeah, it'd just basically be a disaster. Okay, now we're just going to re-centralize everything, give it another flow, and they all should, you know, find their centers. Good. Now the nice thing is, because we've been using a moderately low temperature, the 330, the flux hasn't burned away too much. So we won't have to clean that off. We can put that straight onto the circuit board. We'll add a little bit more flux, but not too much. And that should be good to go. I don't like to have too much flux on here. Too much flux gives them a real tendency to just float away. And like magic, it's stuck to my fingertip. It's because I'm using the wrong tweezers for this. Those fine tip tweezers, they're great, but they don't quite have the opening width. They don't open up enough. Okay, so we're going to go back to 460 high, but we're actually going to drop the air down to about 70 or 60. Yeah, I've got a little bit too much flux under there. You can see how it's doing exactly that. Yeah. Some people have the ability to somehow still control the SMC even when it's floating around like that in the middle of the angry flux sea. Me, not so much. There we go. It looks like Wes is suffering data link issues. Alright, looks like we're settled in. It's dancing. 2, 3, 4, 5. And we should be good. That looks pretty good to me. Looks even, doesn't look like it's leaning off to one side or anything. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Let's cool it down a bit more. Alright, let's test this, see if we had any luck. Remember, we need fan spin and we need green light blinking. Fan spin alone is not enough to prove that a board is alive. It is it's a few steps short of a true test. We need the green light. We need to know that there's actually activity in the brain. What brought on the after midnight stream time? Oh, I was busy with other stuff. So anyway. Looks like Alexander's come looking for the wrong type of person. Alright, here we go. Well, fan spin, power up. Current looks good. Almost, 550, 600 area. Come on, give us a blink of green. There we go. Every single time I always start panicking about a quarter of a second before it starts to blink. Okay, I'll stick this into the chassis and verify that it's actually booting now. Let's put some paper towel down to try and respect it. And I'm hoping after this, if this is successful, my ultrasonic is actually up to temperature, so we'll get that done tonight. And then I can kick back and maybe relax, see if 1917 has actually been released on Netflix or Disney. I can't remember who it is. I kind of get a bit frustrated because when they bring out these new videos, they say available Thursday. It never is available Thursday. It's sort of like Thursday midnight American time as opposed to Australian time. It's like, you lying little SOBs, it's never Thursday here in Australia. I repair it all. Close to finishing up, I hope. I'm just going to put one screw in to hold the battery so it doesn't come flying out at me when I tilt this up. I put the battery in because I want to be sure that it is charging, because obviously if it's not charging then we've got perhaps an ISL issue, things like that. When the SMC gets taken out, you don't know what other secondary effects might come up. Alright, this one. Well, nothing went bang yet, so that's a good sign. We plug in our bootable macOS system. Press the option key. Barry, it'll just be a case of, Apple probably offered them the usual sort of, okay, we've got a very weak backlight here. It might just be because of the PRAM settings. But it was just the case of, mainboard replacement or nothing. Typical thing. Let's see if we can bring this brightness up. If that brightness does not come up, then we may have to have a look. It could be the coil or something like that, not quite functioning, or lacking capacity. Oh, there we go. That's much better. Yep. So the battery is good. It looks like it's charging. Yep, charging. Wi-Fi is good. Temperatures are looking appropriate. Whoa, this is a pretty high-end one. We've got a 2.2 gigahertz i7 with 8 gigs. So this is one of the top-of-the-range type MacBook Airs. So definitely worth saving this one. They probably would have quoted them about $800-900 to replace the mainboard in this. Okay, camera's working. So it's good to test that. And let's see, plug in an SD card. Okay, I seem to have lost my trackpad. Okay, it's back now. Okay, it might have been because it was loading from the USB stick, because remember this is not running off the solid state drive, it's just running the operating system off the USB, and it's also running from the same channel that the SD stick, the SD card I just put in, so it might have had a contention lock there, as it were. So we eject that, test the keyboard next. Okay, here we go. I love doing this on MacBooks. Can't do it on PC laptops that I've found. Or at least not easy. Okay, left, yep, that's good. Escape, caps, yep, all the keys are good. And that, apart from the audio, and then, let's see, volume up. Okay, that's good. Let's see if Valley runs. Oh, Blazing Magazine. Good evening to you, or good day. Hey, Mario. Yes, yes. Paul Daniels, Magician of Past, no longer with us, of course. He still has my domain name. Q's, you're absolutely right. You know, if I had 2 or 3 of these a day, it'd be great. Yeah, that's an excellent sort of staple income, as it were. 30 frames per second, that's not bad for a MacBook Air. Going up to 40 now? Yeah, 40, whatever, it's pretty good. Yeah, the MacBook Air, the 1466, 2013 up to, yeah, I mean, the 165s are a little bit more fickle, but overall, so far as design goes, they really got this one right. The downside, of course, is you do only have the 1440 by 900 screen, but even still, it's not too bad. If they had a board like this with a Retina and 16 gigs of RAM, it would be very difficult to replace this. I mean, as it is, this is got to be a decent machine anyway, so yeah, the customer will be happy to have this one back in their hands. So it's doing very nicely on the frames per second on this. It's quite smooth. So not bad considering it is an Intel built-in GPU. Agreeably, the test is old, but when you compare to, say, a 2915 is only going to get about 15 frames per second on this. So if you make that comparison, you know, it's quite a jump. So, alright, well, that's it for tonight. So thank you very much for watching, and we got lucky. This one actually got repaired. I was kind of worried with a title like I had used, it would jinx me, and I would end up with something terrible and non-functioning. But we won. We got it fixed. So thanks all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Till then, take care.